Hello, welcome to the live stream. God, I sound loud. Sound loud. Sorry for my lateness. It was due to my internet just being an utter nightmare. Oh, we have some people watching. Thank you. Yeah, sorry. I wanted to sort of check the internet. I reset the router earlier. But I think this specific laptop is giving me some issues internet wise. But welcome along. It's good to be live. I'm just checking. Yeah, I think that if it's not good enough, and it's too laggy, then I will use a different laptop next time. I just don't have time to switch it all around now and try and log back into StreamYard. It's just incredibly time consuming. Welcome along to the live stream. Welcome to a chat about all things Fulham. As I tweeted earlier, looks good and sounds good from Nathan Smith. Okay, that is good news. Looks good, looks fine. Harry Kane is on my mind, and he's England's number 9. Right. Peter Rutzler has dropped a bit of a half bomber, would you say? Semi bomber, maybe a quarter bomber. And it just got me sort of like, okay, well, Fulham obviously have been quite slow out the blocks. Obviously, the window's not technically open right now, but there are plenty of things going on. And what's prompted this live stream is a tweet from Peter saying Fulham are interested in Atalanta right back Raul Bellanova, which I just tweeted about this morning. There's a report that came out. Attacking wing back comes amid uncertainty over Kenny Tete's with contract expiring. Also looking at a striker, winger, number 8, and a backup goalkeeper, which is interesting because that's less than what I thought we'd do, but also I can understand like sort of erring on the side of caution. Like I wrote a piece for my own Patreon and a couple of days ago, and I said that we needed like 9 or 8 different players depending on who was moving where. And actually, I think if you strip it all back, it just sort of depends on who leaves as well. I'm happy for Fulham to obviously err on the side of caution when it comes to. Sorry, there's someone in my front yard doing some drain blockage stuff. So apologies if I get distracted. But right, so Fulham need to get on with their summer. We obviously still don't know what's happening with Kenny Tete. We still don't know what's happening with TC. The fact we're being linked with right backs doesn't really surprise me because this Tete situation is like a can being kicked down the road. Just bear with me for 1 second while I just double check something on Patreon because I attempted to go live on there as well. And Patreon. Okay, that's working nicely. Okay, that's good. That's good. I'm glad that people on Patreon can watch, and I will be plugging Patreon all summer until your ears bleed. So I apologize, but you've got to do what you've got to do. Right. So I was sort of thinking, if you weigh it up with who I think might leave this summer, and then you try and find replacements for those players, and that's including Tete, and that's including Tom Kenny, then I came up with 9 players or 9 positions we needed to get in. It's interesting they say a number 8 midfielder, when I would argue we also need another central defensive midfielder. I know obviously Berger and Lukic can compete and can play in either position, but my worry is that Harrison Reed might not be here next season. TC, again, up in the air, and obviously Josh can play in that position as well, which is great. I just think we need more cover for those positions. Obviously, Peter's tweet doesn't necessarily mean that is the actual plan this summer. That's exactly what Fulham are going for. I think it can sway depending on movement and who goes, who leaves the club, who becomes available. But I think there's a lot to do. I think there's a lot to do this summer. The Van Eyck, the Van Eyck rumours last night and this morning were incredibly entertaining, incredibly fun. But I don't think it's it's a runner. I don't think that's actually going to happen. I thought it might have been it's a realistic target for Fulham, but I don't watch a ton of Serie A football. Oh, I thought I untangled these. Oh, I did. Okay. I don't watch a ton of Serie A football, but I'm hearing good things about Bellanova, which is good. But they're not keen to sell at this current moment. Are Atalanta. They've just got in Ivan Juric, who's the former Southampton boss. I don't see how he's got the job there, but hey, that's fine. Italy want Claudio Ranieri as their new manager, so interesting stuff over in Italy. This would be a big statement of intent if Fulham were to sign Bellanova. I hear, according to people who have seen him play. I've seen a bits of Atalanta, when they're in the Champions League and stuff, but I don't sit. I wish I had the sort of capacity to sit down on Sunday night and watch those sort of big Serie A games that go on, but I just do not have the brain capacity. Once you're done with Fulham and you're done with Super Sunday, the thought of, unless there's a Sunday 7 p.m. slot on the Premier League, which there is going to be more of next season, my energy is zapped from that point, from about 6 o'clock on a Sunday. And usually Sunday nights I like to go out and have a curry or play a bit of pool and just relax after a stressful weekend of football as well. So that being said, I don't watch a ton of Serie A football. I watch a bit of Hellas Verona because my friend is a huge Verona fan, so I look out for them. But any news on Luke de Figuero's? Well, he's under. Luke's going to get the door again. Sorry about that. He's under contract. He's out of contract. Sorry, I should say. At this moment in time, Fulham are trying to negotiate a new contract with him. He's obviously away with Canada right now and has done very, 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 very well within that time. His first game against Ukraine, apparently he played incredibly well. I saw a nice little compilation on Twitter. I'd like to think that the right-sided centre-back, if we were to sign him to a new contract, I think we should start integrating him into the first team. It does. The problem is I saw him like 3 or 4 times last season for the under-21s. He was injured for a lot of the season, but looked really good when he was playing. And when our under-21s are playing, our best lineup, he's in the starting 11 for sure. He's obviously had experience in the first team in the Carabao Cup against Ipswich, so Silva knows what he's all about. I would be surprised if he doesn't sign a contract, because he already has that pathway into the first team. So I believe that I reckon there's 2 options here. He signs a contract and we embed him into the team, although he's a 5th centre-back with Diop, Cuenca, Anderson, Bassi. It's obviously going to be difficult for him to get game time, even in Carabao Cup games. So I would imagine he signs a 4-year deal, 3-year deal, 5-year deal maybe, and gets loaned out to the Championship, where I think he could play Championship level. Definitely League One, definitely League Two. I think Championship level, definitely. In fact, he's getting into I know the Canada aren't like number 1 in the world, but I think that he should definitely get into the first team, into a Championship team for sure. Like a Charlie Cresswell sort of player who went to. Did he go to Leeds? Or was he from Leeds? Did he go to Millwall? Anyway. It's been a fairly successful international break for some Fulham players. Harry Wilson, Luke de Figuero's have been fantastic. Oh, another comment here from Sexy Squid. Fantastic name. My dad's Canadian, but I live in London. He made me watch the games recently and he looks solid. Yeah, he's a solid player. He's a solid option. The squad on paper right now is obviously Silva likes a small squad, but it needs adding to. I'm actually pretty amazed. By Sunday, that would have been 3 weeks since the City game. In 3 days, it can't be 3 weeks. Has it been 3 weeks since the season finished? Or is it 2 weeks? I can't even remember now. Well, it's been 2 or 3 weeks since that City game, and we've had no inkling. I think it might be 3 weeks. We've had no inkling of Kenny Tete of TC. And obviously they're off on their holidays. We saw Tete off on holiday. I saw an Instagram post. I read completely read the wrong thing from what he posted. But yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens and how quickly we react to news like if TC leaves, like if Tete leaves us with one right back in Timothy Castagna, who of course is still recovering from surgery. So technically, there is a complete scenario where we can go into pre-season with no fit right backs in the first team. If Tete's gone, Castagna's not ready for pre-season. We know that for a fact. He's going to be back 10 days after pre-season starts. It's a bit of a worry. It's a bit of a Stephen Arthur worry. But what would be your ideal first fixture of the season? Now, I must stress, 8:45 Wednesday morning, live streaming, the fixture release day. I might actually use the other laptop for that and get it all ready. I love fixture release day. A lot of boring people say, well, why do you get so excited? It's because it's, everyone plays each other twice. Yeah, but then you can start planning your aways. You can start booking the first few trains, start seeing and planning plans around. I think it's great. I think when the fixtures come out, it's a fantastic day. It just means that football is nearing getting back. So who would my ideal first fixture be? I think it probably have to be a fairly no easy game in the Premier League. If we got Sunderland away, I'd hate that first game of the season, although we did get Sunderland away first day of the season, 13-14, and we went down that season, but we did win the game 1-0 thanks to Paichim Kasami. Would I want Burnley away? No. I don't want any newly promoted team away from home on the opening day, because we saw that when we went to Barnsley in the Championship, lost 1-0, and it was a complete laughing stock of a day. I think I'd want a home game against mid-table Premier League team like an Everton, although they beat us last season. And as I'm saying, there's no easy game. It's really hard to say, like, who would you want opening day? There's a better question to be like, who would you want Boxing Day? Would you be Chelsea away? Because Chelsea away is just the easiest away to have. That won't happen because we had it last season. But yeah, it's a tough question. I'd probably say like Bournemouth at home or Everton at home. Newly promoted at home. Still think that's quite scary. All their fans will be well up for it. Who did we have first day last season? Oh, Man United away. That was awful. Only because we lost. I think we played fairly well within the game. What I like is I feel like all the rumours are positive to strengthen the squad, not having the spine ripped out. I think that's what I wanted to talk about, as well in this stream, is that the fact of the matter is, for the last 2-3 summers, we've had complete anxiety within the fan base about Willian, Mitrovic, Paulinho, Marco Silva, even Marco Silva like a couple of weeks ago. And it does feel as if now we're at a settled stage where, okay, Silva basically said against City, I'm staying. And I was like, yeah, well, that's great. But, if a job comes about, that's going to be quite difficult to turn down. That is going to be quite difficult to turn down. But it does seem as if it's all settled now. The only thing that isn't settled is, well, we know we're going to Portugal. We don't know who we're playing and when we're playing. That's obviously information that we're going to want so we can book trains to go to book planes to go to book flights, I should say, to go to the Algarve. I think that this is a fun summer to watch Bournemouth get completely. Kirke's gone, Hodgson gone, Zabani's been linked away, Semenyo's been linked away. Brentford losing their manager, Brentford losing their first choice in who they wanted to bring in as their replacement. Now Parker's been linked. I think someone might have commented that Brentford at home with Parker as their manager, perfect first game, would be great. But I just do not think that they put even a Fulham v Brentford. I don't think that sort of derby would be. They'd never put a derby first game of the season, do they? There's always some decent fixtures first day. I think we're going to be like away to Wolves, away to West Ham. West Ham away would be quite fun. Just no one like. I don't want to start City away. I don't want to start Liverpool away. I don't want to start Arsenal away. Not really. You want to get off to a good start to the season. When we beat Everton 1-0, that was a fantastic way to start the season. Albeit we finished 13th. It wasn't the most amazing season we've ever had, but it actually was a really fun season. I do think progressively the seasons that we've had in the Premier League have got slightly better. And you say, oh, we finished 10th in the first season, but then we finished 13th. But when we finished 13th, we'd beaten some really top teams. We'd beaten Arsenal. We got 4 points out of Arsenal and we just gave it a bit more of a go. We beat Spurs. And then obviously last season, much more better results as well. And then we finished in 11th. And I just feel like we're in a better stage as a squad. And that's obviously what I want to harp back to, the squad. João Palhinha. I just don't think João Palhinha is going to join. It just feels like a too hard of a deal to do. I don't think Bayern will want to loan him. And I don't think that we'll be able to afford what they're demanding of him. To bring him back would be obviously insanity. But I just don't think it's going to happen. Is that Big Sexy Man? So is that the same person that's called Sexy Squid as well? But yeah, if you're watching on YouTube, please give the YouTube channel some love, because it's going to be revitalized this summer. Probably with more live streams than reaction videos. But I'm sure when the new kit drops and some more transfer rumors come about, it's hard to juggle with Patreon. Obviously, the Patreon's a huge priority. But in terms of YouTube, there'll still be match previews on there, hopefully. And I want to rejig it a little bit, because do you think we need to sign another permanent striker? Absolutely. I mean, we've only got 2 strikers on the books right now. Vinicius is gone. It leaves Muniz and Raul Jimenez. Raul Jimenez is a year older than he was last year. I think Raul will be number 3 in terms of options. Osman's also basically gone to Celtic, and that leaves Muniz. And yeah, so it's all these sort of like, we're going to go into pre-season with 2 strikers on the books, maybe not even one fit right back on the books. I think the rest of the squad is okay in terms of numbers, but there are obviously some holes that we need to fill. If someone put a gun to my head and said, who do you think is going to leave this summer? I'd have to say it's a Diop could, because I think we could upgrade. I don't think he necessarily will, but the fact he's not been in the matchday squad for the last 5 or 6 games of the season makes me think that he's going to be surplus to requirements. Harrison Reed, it just feels like the end of the cycle for him. I know we spoke about this in a previous live stream, but it's just good to recap. I think Pereira could be off for sure. There's always links with him away. I know he said he's like fairly happy at the club right now, but the whole thing in the winter with the Marseille thing just, I think, rubbed people up the wrong way. Yeah, that's obviously not the same person. Big Sexy Man. There's someone else in the stream commenting, and he's also got sexy in his name. So I don't know what's going on with these viewers today. I would love a Ross McCormack type striker back. I thought you were about to say I want Ross McCormack back. Someone brilliant at literally everything going forward. As good as Raul and Muniz are, I just feel like Mitro hole is too big. I'm not really looking at the striker situation now and saying that the Mitro hole has not been filled. I think it has sort of been filled. We're seeing more from Muniz's game of hold up play, of goals, of link up, of sort of bullying defenders. We saw it literally against Virgil van Dijk, who's considered one of the best defenders in Premier League history. I think that obviously, we'll get onto the goalkeeper situation as well. I just think we either look for what Silva wants in a striker, someone who can hold it up. Look at literally what I just said. The fact we had 3 of those in Vinicius, Raul, and Muniz talk about how good you think those players are, how good you think Vinicius are. It's fine, but to be linked with a player like Ricardo Pepi, who I believe is like a similar mold in terms of physicality. Obviously, Osmond was a completely different sort of striker, and I just don't think there was a way he could get into that first team with the situation we've got. I think that if we're going to be a serious Premier League team this season, who are going for similar targets that we had last season, i.e. top 10 and cups, then I think we need 3 strikers who are really like battling every week, because it got to the point last season where we knew it from like match day 1 that it was basically going to be Raul versus Muniz, and Vinicius will only be used if called upon, which was not until the end of the season. Whereas now it's like, I think Muniz is the number 9 strikers and the number 1 option. We need someone better than Vinicius and cost maybe a fair bit of money to come in, ruffle some feathers, and be like, no, your spot is under threat. And then I think that Raul Jimenez should be that 3rd option. Not saying that his game's dropped off or anything. I just think that his age and the way we want to progress as a club, I think signing him onto an extra season was smart and fine. We need another striker to compete with Muniz. And obviously Muniz has been touted, £50 million as a price tag on his head. I don't see any team anywhere that's paying £50 million for Muniz, which is great because I want him to be at the club for a long time. I think he's a fantastic player. I miss Bettinelli. Oh, mate, he's gone to City to sort of sit on the bench. It's just, well, he was doing that at Chelsea anyway. Here we go. I hope that Peter's comments that we're looking for a goalkeeper is correct. I think Leno is the only player we do not have any backup for. One injury and we're really in trouble. As in Stephen Bender. Stephen Bender's just a terrible option. I don't want to be harsh, but like in the 2 games he played last season, was it 2? Might have been 3 actually. In the games I remember, the penalty shootout against Preston, where he saved 1 penalty out of like 20, it was like 17 or 18 penalties. And then the game against, who was it now? Wigan, where he was flapping at things in the second half. Galatasaray linked with Pereira. I mean, there's very like small links to him, but they're not very credible links. Nothing concrete really, which is like, Turkish media is usually, I find, quite hard to sort of gauge whether that's reputable or not. Obviously, we've seen Leroy Sané go to Galatasaray. That's cool. He also played against Watford, didn't he? And obviously, we need wingers. We need goal-scoring wingers, as David Williams has commented. We need. I'm actually. It's hard to say because I actually would have thought we'd go after 2 wingers. Then again, you've got Iwobi, you've got Wilson, you've got Adama, and you've got Sessegnon, who can play on the wing right now. Adding one more into that is probably necessary because obviously we lost Willian. Unless I'm missing someone, obviously Reece Nelson has been linked with a move back. Wouldn't be against it. A full fit Nelson for 38 games, I think, would make a huge difference to the team. And I think that we could probably get a good price for him. Reece Lightning. I think that we could get a really good price for him. Because I think our negotiation skills have been very, very good with Arsenal over the years with Leno. I mean, if Arsenal come back at Fulham and say, if you want Nelson permanently, you have to pay 25 million, I think that's a complete and utter no-go. Complete and utter no-go. I think we can get 10 to 15 million, Dominic. I completely agree. That's my exact thoughts precisely. 12.5, rising to 15. I could very much see that happening. I know that Arsenal need to raise funds. We all know that Arsenal need to raise funds. They've put like 4 or 5 players up for potential sale to raise funds so they can get in a striker, whether it be Gyökeres, whether it be Sesko. We'll see. But yeah, I would be saying like 12.5 rising to, I could see very much a deal, like an Ornstein bomber, where it's like Fulham have agreed a deal for £12.5 million for Reece Nelson with add-ons rising to 15 based on performance requirements, blah, blah, blah. Ivanovic, yeah, I'm glad someone's brought up Ivanovic because he was a player. The thing is, as much as I like him, as much as I've watched him this season, I've seen him give it all that, and I'm thinking, oh, could you imagine him down Craven Cottage? Be like Mitrovic 2.0. His only experience in English football is for a Millwall team who pushed for the playoffs, didn't quite get there, and is playing in the Championship against pretty average opposition. I think he's fantastic in the air. His physique is fantastic. I just think we need to go for a higher caliber of striker if he's going to compete with... Because if we signed Ivanovic, let's just say, and we've been linked with Ricardo Pepi, who apparently is very, very good. Again, I don't watch a lot of Dutch football. It would feel as if we signed Ivanovic, it'd be like, well, he's younger. That means I would push Raul Jimenez up to being the second choice striker. And then suddenly you've got Ivanovic, who's like your Carabao Cup merchant. And I just don't think that's necessarily what we're going to be going. It's like, I love the rumour. Well, it's not even a rumour. I love the suggestion. I just don't think that's going to be the way I think we're going to really go for a top striker. And I say top striker, like if we are linked with Josh Sargent, I think he's a top striker. And you could say, yeah, but his only experience is basically playing in the Championship. He's played a bit in the Premier League and was okay in the Premier League in a very poor Norwich team. But in the Championship, being like one of the best strikers in the Championship probably does get you a Premier League move. Everyone was saying Mitrovic scored 43 goals in the Championship, then came up to the Premier League, and everyone was like, "Oh, here we go. He's going to score 2 or 3 goals." No, he scored 2 or 3 goals because he didn't get played under Parker. And he come in and scored 12 or 13, which is a decent return. But yeah, we need those two strikers and Raul getting like 25 goals between them minimum. And I think we've got a good team where goals come all over the park. Harry Wilson is such a threat when it comes to goals and assists. It's been brilliant for Wales. I really think this is a huge season for Wilson. I think he's getting better. I think he's getting better. I think we're going to see the best of him. And I'm all for the fact that he's demanding a bigger contract. I think he probably deserves it. He's given a lot of loyalty to the club. He's been here as long as Silva's been here. He was Silva's first signing. And I think that it's a big season for him. It's a big season for Fulham. I'm really nervous about the season because obviously every summer this happens. I'm nervous because slow off the mark. There's not really many rumours going along, and then you're seeing this team sign that player and this team sign that player. I think I just want to be in a stage where we're going out to pre-season and we have basically all our business, and it's not realistic that this happens, but we basically have most of our business done by the time we play Eintracht Frankfurt. That Frankfurt game, because obviously things have changed since then. 3 years ago, after that Villarreal friendly, I remember being in the post-match press conference with Marco Silva. My first ever game covering Fulham, I was a nervous wreck and I was incredibly excited. I was stood behind the camera and he said, "We're not ready for the season to start." And I was like, what a blow. We're not ready for the season to start. And obviously it turned out fine. We were fantastic. But Silva always bangs on about how important pre-season is for fitness, for continuity, for players to come in. I think it's vitally important we see players through the door whilst we're out in Portugal. And obviously we've got it's a long way to go. It's the 12th of June, and technically the window doesn't open again until the 16th. So there's no need to panic. I'm not panicking. It just happens every year where you're just sort of a bit like, when you're just seeing everyone else get a head start. Not a head start, but just getting business done. And obviously different clubs have different processes. It takes different. Do you remember the Pogba rumour? Harry Wilson, Ivan and Rodrigo playing black and white, etc. Oh yeah, the song. Some more comments here. What are your thoughts on Kieran Dewsbury-Hall? Yeah, see, this is one that makes a ton of sense. When he went to Chelsea, I was just like, he's just not going to get enough minutes there. Conference League or not, he's just not going to get enough minutes. Dewsbury-Hall, who is now probably settled in London, making the very, very short trip across West London to a bigger club and better club in Fulham, would just be, it just makes so much sense in what he can offer. Basically, number 8, I think he could play a little bit higher up as well if need be. I think that makes a ton of sense, that signing. I'd be all for it. There's a player who I want us to sign. I've mentioned it to my friends and they've all gone, "You're barking mad." And I think that's Philip Billing. I would like to see us go in for Philip Billing. He's back at Bournemouth now after a loan spell with Napoli. He obviously had some great experience winning the league, or playing half a season, or we didn't play many games, but at least contributing to a league title over in Italy. He's 29. I still think he's got a really good build, really good ball carrying presence and ability. I think Philip Billing would be a really good addition to our midfield. You think of the sort of profile we have in midfield, tall, 6 foot, sort of Sander Berger, Philip Billing, Sasha Lukic would be 3 very, very good options. Obviously, I don't think he's as good as he was like 2 or 3 years ago, but it's someone. I think Wilson would be great if he has a season without injury, breaks his momentum. So essentially, if we were to line up tomorrow, if we were to line up tomorrow, we actually wouldn't have a fit right back. So we'd actually have to play. We'd have to play like Cess at right back. If you think about it, obviously we're like 2 months out from the season starting. We got a new subscriber on. Got a new subscriber on YouTube. Thank you very much. Trying to get to like, was I'm on like 700, almost 700 subscribers. Patreon's a really good place to be as well. I'll plug that in a second. And yeah, we should talk about the goalkeeper situation. Yeah, I think upgrading on Steven Bender is obviously a huge shout. He's just not good enough. And even like a Lucas Fabianski who's out of contract, just pick him up for a free. I think that would be a really wise decision. God, this battery on this laptop goes down incredibly quickly. We've only been going for half an hour. I reckon we'll probably go for another 25 minutes, hopefully. The reason I'm doing it now and not later is because I want to watch the England under 20 Euros tonight. Really excited to see that. And the under 19 start in a couple of days' time as well. So Josh King. And that's available to watch on BBC iPlayer. So I'm going to keep an eye on both those tournaments. I'm really getting into youth football more after a whole season of watching under 21s. Just makes me want to go to more games under 21s. I just feel like the sort of atmosphere you get there and the sort of vibes you get there compared to a first team game is completely different. There's just more sort of, obviously, it's quite tight knit because you've got like friends and family coming to watch specific players. You've got scouts there, agents. It's like a really cool place to be when you sort of look around and you go, oh, these people are probably have some good stories to tell. And obviously, as you progress as a journalist, you want to make those sort of connections, and that's going to help you in your career, and that's going to, it just works as a nice sort of community to make. So yeah, looking forward to watching the under 21s. We need to upgrade on Bender, like quite seriously. I mean, you talk about Silva taking the cup seriously, and that's fine. Obviously, Leno making great penalty saves against Manchester United in the FA Cup, then starting against Palace. I get that. I just don't trust Bender as the first choice keeper for when it comes to cups. And then I just think that there's so many better goalkeepers out there, and it's difficult to sell a dream to a goalkeeper who's probably like whose stock's fairly high, and you say, look, you're going to be second choice to Bernd Leno. It's a hard sell. It's a really hard sell. Most keepers, apart from if you want to sort of be a third choice goalkeeper for a top 6 club, want to be playing every single week. And whoever we try and target as a backup goalkeeper, unless he's better than Leno, which I would very much doubt that we would go for a profile of goalkeeper that's better than Leno, you're basically saying to him, you're going to be playing maximum 6 games this season. I mean, how would you sell that? I mean, wages, maybe. Living in London, maybe. Nice surroundings, nice facilities, maybe. It's a hard one. It's a hard one. You almost sort of feel sorry for whoever's going to be coming in because and they probably know deep down that. But then there's obviously Leno's at some point going to either retire or move on. I don't think it's anytime soon. I still think, is he like 31, 32? Still think he's got, especially a goalkeeper, he's got plenty of years left in you. But yeah, it's a tough sell. It's a tough sell. Let's have a look at that tweet again, just so we can sort of reference it again. So we've talked about striker. We've talked about winger, number 8 midfielder, and I suppose we've covered it all in terms of. I just think that there's going to be, if you count the attacking wing back, 5 positions. I just don't think 5 positions is enough. I mean, who knows? Like Harrison Reed might stay, Pereira might stay. I just don't think there's enough there. And I'm sure by the end of the window, you know what Fulham are like. They always link with someone. I'd imagine 7 additions would be okay. I think 5 is probably a bit short. Like I say, like a number 8 midfielder is fantastic, but I would like a number 6 as well to basically have. But obviously that depends. I'm just assuming that Harrison Reed leaves, and even if Tom Kenny signs a new contract, how many minutes is he going to get next season? It's a brutal game football, which is a game of opinions. But I do think if we want to go to the next level, i.e. compete for Europe again, top 10, we have to upgrade on what we already have. And upgrading on Harrison Reed, doable. Upgrading on Diop, doable. Not upgrading on Anderson, but having someone to compete with Anderson, doable. I think Tete is a fantastic right back, and I think that him and Castagna I'd be happy with next season. Robinson, obviously, if he stays, fantastic. Sessignon could play at left back. I would probably be looking at another left back to bring in if we want to push Ses further forward. And again, it's another hard sell. Like if you're a left back, knowing that Robinson's going to be playing 38 games a season, basically, it's a hard sell. Sasha Lukic, and then someone to compete with him in the number 8. It could be Josh King. It just could be, and it could be TC. It just could be. But then Sander Berger, and then your replacement's Harrison Reed. I think we can upgrade on Harrison Reed. We can upgrade on TC at this stage, even though I want TC to stay more than anything, because I don't think he should have had the send-off he had if that's going to be his last contribution to the club. There should have been more made of it. It's a really tough one. It's a real tough one, actually. I missed Adama Traore. I didn't talk about that. So we got Traore, Sessegnon, Wilson, Iwobi. Maybe I did mention Traore. That's 4. Am I missing someone again? Iwobi on the left. No Willian, so he's gone. Wilson. I'm going barking mad here. I feel like I'm always missing someone when I'm talking about the wingers. Let's just double check, because otherwise I'm going to make myself look stupid. Let's actually go through the squad here. Yeah. Oh, I suppose Marshall Godot, yeah. Marshall Godot. So Traore, Godot, let's just say first teamers, because he's predominantly under 21s. Traore, Wilson, Sessegnon, Iwobi. 4 wingers. I think we could get 2 more in. If Sessegnon is basically who's a left back who can play on the wing, just goal scoring wingers on both sides, just to. How much of a part do I think Adama Traore is going to play next season? I know he was signed down to a new contract for 1 more year, but I see him as like, on his day, he is unstoppable, pace wise, power wise. Even like that cross for Smith Rowe, he can produce a bit of magic. I just think if we want to go to the next level, we have to upgrade on these players. That doesn't mean letting them go in terms of Traore, because he just signed a new 1-year deal. But yeah, and obviously that's very, 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 very hard. I like Ndoye, the Swiss winger. It's just I just don't know. I just don't know yet, because there hasn't been enough links to gauge who I think we're going to be after. But Bellanova sounds exciting. It sounds like a transfer that has the people who know stuff about Italian football have. They're fairly excited by that, fairly ambitious. And the role of Josh King is really, really interesting. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's interesting that in that tweet, which again isn't the be-all and end-all, but there's no mention of a number 10. I think Pereira might go elsewhere. I think we'll try and cash in on him. If Smith Rowe's the number 10, Wilson can play in the 10. King can play in the 10. I'm sort of torn, because I'm like, well, yeah, we can upgrade on these positions. But then I'd be a hypocrite by saying that, because I'm also really into bringing in the fact that Josh King can be integrated into the first team, can play in the number 8, can play in the number 10. So then buying I could see us obviously wanting a number 8. That's fine. But maybe an 8 who can also play 6. So if we were to buy a sort of hybrid, like a Sander Berger, like a Sasa Lukic, who can play in both positions, allows Josh King to be part of the matchday squad. I feel like I'm going around in circles, to be fair. Ultimately, we want the same thing, which is success on the pitch. And I think that maybe I'm over-engineering it a little bit, but I'm looking forward to the season ahead. Absolutely. I think it's going to be a really fun season. I think it's going to be a season which is going to be incredibly competitive again. What did we finish 11th last season? I just think it's going to be so tricky. But Marco Silva can get the best out of players. Reece Nelson back, who knows? I just don't know. I don't know. I've sort of lost my way a little bit for the last 10 minutes, sort of going around in circles about the squad. I think we can and will upgrade. I hope we do it in good time. Obviously, stay within the FFP and financial fair play and PSR rules and stuff like that. But this is a really exciting time for the club, I think, with Silva's definitely staying. We have seen rivals get weaker. I think Brentford will lose a lot when they lose Frank in terms of the way in which they play, the way in which he had an impact on the club. Bournemouth are going to have already lost almost 2 key players, could lose a third. I don't think Semenyo will leave, especially for the price tag that £70 million. I just don't think Spurs would pay that. Who knows? They might. And yeah, I feel like maybe my social battery has run out a little bit over the last 5-10 minutes, where I've sort of tried to dissect the squad and see what we do and do not need. I'm looking forward to the summer, looking forward to pre-season. Hopefully we can make some signings in time for pre-season. But yeah, actually what I was going to just rattle through was the starting 11 on paper right now, which is Leno in goal. Right back would have to be Cess, and be Anderson, Bassey, Robinson, Berger, Lukic, Smith Rowe, Iwobi, Wilson, Muniz. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. Obviously, there are some gaps, and then you obviously would have to name the bench, and the bench is sort of, that's where you sort of go, well, we can upgrade and we can add bits and bobs here. And yeah, I think finally I need to plug Patreon. I think that's probably the thing to do when signing off. £5 per month for a lot of Fulham content, stuff you won't see in the main space of Fulham. And I've changed things up. Last season was a great year for Patreon. Loads of content went out. It was almost daily. I think I only missed like 2 days throughout the whole, from like match day 1 to match day 38. Maximum 3 days. I just went ham. Lots of content that was good and that was fun. And obviously we got interviews with TC, Iwobi, Smith Rowe, Leno, Cess, and one-on-ones with Silva a couple of times in the press conferences. That sort of stuff is going to continue going into next season. Delighted to be carrying this on, which is fantastic. But the Patreon content will change. It's going to be, how do I say, less content, not daily, but it'll be enough to sustain you within a week. 4 or 5 days there'll be content. But it's going to be higher quality in production, higher quality in just being a little bit more out and about, talking to fans a lot more. I'm not necessarily saying fan cams, which would be great, but it could be very, very similar to that sort of stuff. Press conferences, match day content, which is obviously very important. Food reviews. I think that people are missing out. I have to say, I think people are missing out. My subscriber base is incredible right now. The community is fantastic. However, I always would like more people, and there's so many more Fulham fans who could join. And yeah, if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, well, do I want to pay more money? And you think about it, £5 per month. If you go to your local pub, I know I rattle this line a lot. If you go to your local pub, you are probably guaranteed, if you order a pint or a glass of wine or a cider or even a soft drink now, you will not be paying over £5. But an alcoholic drink, you'll be paying probably like, I know my local charges 6-ish for a pint. And that's just for one pint. And then you want another one, or maybe another one. And then you're spending like 24 quid before food in the pub, depending on how much you're drinking. Let's just say a standing night we have like 3 or 4. For £5, you can get loads of content per month, and that's stuff you just don't see. And it's, I'm hoping to just raise my game a little bit in the Fulham space. I'm also on TikTok as well. I should probably plug TikTok because that's always fun. I'm working with a company called Sleeper Football. I'm at Sleeper Fulham, all one word. SleeperFulham, Sleeper Fulham. I post a couple of times a week, sometimes 3 times a week. again, at matches, not at matches, at press conferences. It's fun to sort of see that behind the scenes sort of stuff. I want to be making more behind the scenes sort of stuff. Sort of like day in the life. It's a little bit, it's a little bit influencer sort of stuff in terms of, but it's fun. And obviously, within the week, with Monday to Friday, when you're building up to a game, there's so much to talk about injury wise, looking at your opposition. And that's where I want to go out and about, talking to opposition fans as well as Fulham fans. I think that's what the Patreon can give you. It's a different insight into Fulham, completely different insight from what you see in the usual spaces. Of course, it's behind a paywall, but it's because I've got to make a living, and to say that I make a living by covering the team that I support and providing content and engaging content and updates for fans is a dream come true. It's the best thing I could have asked for, and I'm very, very lucky to do it, and can't wait to continue doing it. And yeah, so like out in Portugal, there's going to be loads of stuff to do as well, loads of content to make, reaction content. Transfer news is always like quick. I was actually hoping for some transfer news while we were live tonight, but that was not to be. And in terms of signings, in terms of live streams going forward, I'd be surprised if I live stream before next Wednesday, which is it's the fixture release day. So I will definitely be live 8:45 a.m. on the dot for that. And then we'll go to about 10 a.m. reacting to the fixtures and looking through all the fixtures and blah, 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 all that good stuff. But from then, I hope to be live every 2 or 3 nights, just talking Fulham stuff, because there's always going to be stuff coming out. There's always going to be new news to talk about. And so if you're wanting that sort of interaction live streams, then please follow me on Twitter, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and subscribe to Patreon, because it's a real fun place to be. And it was a real risk to do what I'm doing, but I think 1 year in, I don't have any regrets. I just want to keep building, keep growing, and I know that the people on Twitter and Patreon and YouTube always appreciate it. So it's tough, you got to grind. You've got to plug your own content. You've got to be brave. Does sometimes feel like you've got a little a little hat going around a crowd, but it is what it is. It is what it is. £5 a month, $6 if you're in the US, and it is just the best job in the world. So thank you so much for watching, listening. Haven't had a comment in a few minutes, so maybe people are not engaging anymore. It's fine. These things happen. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back in a few days' time. You never know. We might be back tomorrow if some massive bomber happens. But yeah, what you'll see from me is reaction content all summer regarding Fulham, building up to the start of the Premier League season. And the fixtures are out in just 6 days' time. We will know who will be playing on the opening day. Thank you so much for watching, and come on, Fulham. Oh. The stream is not ending. Am I actually still live? That's actually that is major. Unless the stream actually just... Stream is not ending. I actually can't end the stream. That's hilarious. Let's try again. An error occurred. Wait a moment, then try again. Right, I'll try again to end the stream. An error occurred. I don't have time to be live all night, but why won't it end? That's insanely inconvenient. I could leave the studio. I wonder what would happen if I left the studio. Let's have a gander. What a palaver. Insanely inconvenient. If I left the studio, I could leave the studio. I just don't think that's a good idea.